Have you ever thought about how we arrived at the scientific truths we take for granted today? It wasn't a straight line. It was a battlefield of ideas, full of fierce debates and intellectual clashes that have been largely forgotten. These weren't just dusty academic arguments. They were epic showdowns that shaped our entire worldview. Today, we're digging up three of the greatest scientific feuds you've probably never heard of. And trust me, they're more dramatic than you might think. We'll uncover how these conflicts pushed science forward and why they still matter in surprising ways. Let's travel back to June 30th, 1860, at the Oxford University Museum. The air is thick with tension. Charles Darwin has just published on the origin of species, and the world is reeling. In one corner, we have Thomas Huxley, a brilliant, aggressive biologist nicknamed Darwin's Bulldog. In the other, Bishop Samuel Wilberforce, a charismatic and witty orator representing the church. This isn't just a debate, it's a spectacle. Wilberforce, confident and theatrical, famously turns to Huxley and asks, apparently with a smirk, if it was through his grandfather or his grandmother that he claimed his descent from a monkey. The crowd roars. It was a low blow, meant to ridicule rather than to argue. But Huxley was ready. He calmly stands and delivers a legendary response. He states that he would not be ashamed to have a monkey for an ancestor, but he would be ashamed to be connected with a man who used his great gifts to obscure the truth. The room erupts. This moment became a symbol, a turning point in the public perception of the clash between science and religion. It wasn't just about monkeys and men, it was about the very authority of scientific inquiry. Huxley's defense of Darwin's theory in such a public and dramatic fashion helped to cement the idea that scientific evidence must be met with evidence, not with ridicule or appeals to tradition. This debate wasn't the end of the conversation, but it was a powerful declaration that science was a force to be reckoned with, ready to challenge even the most deeply held beliefs. Next, let's turn our attention to a question that seems simple today. How old is the Earth? For us, the answer is about 4.5 billion years. But in the 19th century, this was one of the most contentious questions in all of science. On one side, we had the physicists, led by the titan of Victorian science, Lord Kelvin. Kelvin was a genius. He made groundbreaking contributions to thermodynamics and electricity. Using the principles of physics, he calculated that the Earth was a molten ball that had been cooling over time. Based on its current temperature, he confidently declared that the Earth could be no more than 100 million years old, and likely closer to 20 to 40 million. His calculations were precise, his logic seemingly irrefutable. For many, his word was law. But the geologists and biologists were in an uproar. Men like Charles Lyell, a pioneering geologist, looked at the slow, gradual processes of erosion and sedimentation, the vast layers of rock stacked one on top of another, and said, "This doesn't add up." They saw a world that had been shaped over immense, almost unimaginable, spans of time. Darwin's theory of evolution also required a very old Earth for the slow process of natural selection to work its magic. 20 million years was simply not enough time. So, who was right? The physicists with their elegant equations, or the geologists with their rocks and fossils? For decades, Kelvin's authority held sway, and it created a major crisis for geology and biology. It was a classic stalemate. The geologists knew the Earth had to be older, but they couldn't mathematically prove Kelvin wrong. The physicists trusted their numbers but couldn't explain the geological evidence. The deadlock was finally broken by a discovery Kelvin couldn't have predicted: radioactivity. At the dawn of the 20th century, scientists like Marie Curie and Ernest Rutherford discovered that radioactive elements within the Earth's crust were generating heat. The Earth wasn't just a simple cooling ball. It had its own internal engine. This new source of heat completely invalidated Kelvin's calculations. Furthermore, radiometric dating, using the decay of these elements, allowed scientists to finally measure the age of rocks with incredible accuracy. Confirming the geologists' intuition of a vastly ancient Earth, Kelvin, brilliant as he was ultimately wrong. This epic feud shows us a critical lesson about science. Even the most respected theories backed by the greatest minds can be overturned by new evidence. It's a powerful reminder that our understanding is always evolving. Finally, let's tackle a belief that persisted for thousands of years: spontaneous generation. The idea that life could just appear from non-living matter. Think about it. Maggots from rotting meat, mice from piles of grain, frogs from mud. To people in the past, it seemed obvious. This wasn't just a folk belief. It was a serious scientific theory. In the mid-19th century, the debate reached a fever pitch between two French scientists, Félix Pauchet and Louis Pasteur. Pauchet was a respected naturalist and a staunch defender of spontaneous generation. He conducted experiments showing that microorganisms would appear in sterilized infusions of hay seemingly from nowhere. He argued that a vital force in the air could breathe life into inanimate matter. On the other side was Louis Pasteur, a chemist who was becoming increasingly convinced that life only comes from life. He suspected that tiny, invisible microbes in the air were responsible for what Pauchet was observing. The French Academy of Sciences set up a competition to settle the matter once and for all. This is where Pasteur's genius for experimental design truly shone. He devised the famous swan neck flask experiment. He boiled a nutrient broth in a flask to kill any existing microbes. But this flask wasn't sealed. It had a long S-shaped neck that was open to the air. Air could get in, but the curves of the neck would trap airborne dust and microbes, preventing them from reaching the broth. The result? The broth remained clear and sterile, indefinitely. No life appeared. But then, for the dramatic finale, Pasteur tilted the flask, allowing the sterile broth to touch the trapped dust in the neck. Almost immediately, the broth became cloudy with microbial growth. He had proven it. The vital force wasn't the issue. The microbes carried in the air, where he showed that life didn't just spontaneously appear. It was introduced from the outside. This elegant experiment was a death blow to the theory of spontaneous generation. It wasn't just an academic victory. It laid the foundation for germ theory, which revolutionized medicine, leading to pasteurization, antiseptics, and a modern understanding of infectious diseases. Every time you wash your hands to avoid getting sick, you have this forgotten scientific showdown to thank. The debate between Huxley and Wilberforce highlights the struggle for scientific authority. The clash over the age of the Earth teaches us that even the most brilliant minds can be limited by the knowledge of their time. Pasteur's victory over spontaneous generation shows the power of a single, elegant experiment to topple a belief held for millennia. These stories remind us that science is not a collection of facts in a textbook. It's a human process, full of passion, rivalry, and dead ends. The certainties we hold today were hard-won on the battlefields of yesterday, and who knows which of our modern truths will become the forgotten debates of tomorrow. That's what makes the history of science so endlessly fascinating. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into the past, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more stories from the history of ideas